So this is the mesh flower wreath class. This is one that's been on the schedule for quite a long time, and it just kept getting pushed ahead, and I'm so sorry for that, because other stuff came up that we wanted to do, and but it's finally here. I know Lenore's excited about it. She said she's been waiting a long time, but let's just go ahead and get started. If anybody jumps on and if you want to say hello, I'm going to move this out of the way because I don't want you to see it yet, but I really like the way it's coming out. But like I said, I cheated. I started mine already. Let's plug this in. Okay. So I think I told you guys, what size wreath form did I tell you guys? Did I tell you guys 14-inch, or does anybody remember? Because I can't remember. I think I told you guys 14-inch. I decided 14-inch, that's totally fine. You may have to add an extra petal to yours, to each section. Excuse me. I decided to go with a 12-inch form only because, I don't know, I just decided to go with a 12-inch because I had a couple of extra ones. But let me count the sections. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Does anybody have the 14-inch form? How many sections are in it? Can you count?
There's 6 sections.
Okay. I think the 12-inch, just the sections may be a little bit smaller, so you might have to end up just putting an extra petal in. And I apologize, I just decided to do the 12-inch, but here's what I have so far. Isn't that so pretty? You guys are supposed to go, ooh, ah, that's pretty.
I love it. Beautiful, beautiful.
What do you think?
Oh, gorgeous.
So mine's a little bit different. I'm gonna get my chair because I'm sitting for this one. I don't know if you guys were in my class the other day, but I twisted my knee like an idiot running to get the phone. So my knee's kind of bothering me a little bit. It's been bothering me since then. So I'm gonna sit. Here's my bag of mesh here. So I think this looks really nice. Mine's a little bit different. If you look at the picture, you can see that it looks like there's just one row of the colored mesh and then the green behind it. If you look at mine, it almost looks like it's braided, but I actually have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 petals wrapped around these first 2 rings here. All right, and then I kind of tucked in, if you can see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, on these, the middle 2 rings. Okay, and I'm going to show you how I did that. But I kind of like, I was going to do these 2 rings and then these 2 rings. So the 2 inside and the 2 outside, but I didn't really like the way that looked. I kind of like the way this looks better, how they're like wedged together like that. I'm going to hold that up so you guys can see that. And it hides the wreath form very well. And there's still an extra bar on the outside here. So these are kind of folded over. I can probably tuck these in now. Hold on a minute here. I can show you. If you still wanted to add leaves, let me just tuck this in. It's sort of like covering the last bar, but there's still the outer bar available, okay, if you wanted to add leaves. But I would, I'm trying to think, because I'm not quite sure if the leaves would show unless you maybe use longer mesh. So what I would recommend is if you have a roll of like the colored mesh for your petals and a roll of the green, instead of doing 2 rows like I did, do this inside one with your petals and do the outside one with your leaves so they show. Does that make sense? So the only bar, and I'm just kind of tucking this in here, the only bar that I didn't use was the outside bar. And you can see the way I folded these, and I'm going to show you in a minute. I'm just trying to tuck these under here. And I love this mesh. I got this mesh from BB Crafts. Has anybody ever heard of BB Crafts before? They're in California. I think they used to be known as polymesh.com. I'm pretty sure that's what they used to be known as. But now they're known as BB Crafts. And honestly, this was the only place that I could find this mesh. I think I saw some at Dollar General last year, but you know, it really wasn't that very good quality. BB Crafts pricing is very, very good too. I think I paid like $3 a roll for this mesh. The only problem with this mesh is that it frays quite a bit. You can't cut it with the wood burning tool. So because I'm totally OCD, I cut it with my scissors and I sit there and I cut it by hand and I make sure that I cut in between the lines because I want to fray less. But what you can certainly do is when you're done with any mesh, when you're done putting it on your form, take it outside, and I say that because this stuff is pretty stinky. And I think I've showed you this stuff before. It's Elmer's Craft Bond. You can actually get any sort of a spray adhesive. And I think Mod Podge, there's spray adhesives that you can get. And just lightly spray your cut ends and let it sit outside to dry, and you won't have any more fraying. So once you get it on there, you can cut the little extra pieces off. So, all right, this is just one section that I did. Now I have, on these first 2 bars on the bottom, like I said, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But my sections are smaller because this is a 12-inch frame. You may need to put 7. So 7 on the first 2, and then in between you may need to do 6. You just want to make sure that it's nice and tight. And I found that wrapping it around 2 bars instead of 1, they didn't flop around. Like when I had it wrapped around just the 1, it wanted to like flop forward, and then the back ones were flopping backwards. But this is pretty, it's not going anywhere, and I like that. So this is basically how the whole wreath is going to look. And if you see it by the picture, you can actually put a little bow on the side if you want to. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that with mine, but what I want to tell you too, what you can also do, like we do with other flowers, is you can get your plastic canvas, and I know you guys have seen this before. You can get these at Hobby Lobby or any craft store, Walmart, and it's just a piece of plastic with little holes in it. You can see that. And that's typically what wreath makers put in the middle of their wreath frame. I'm blurry, hold on one second. Put in the middle of their wreath frame to attach their centers. So you can definitely put a center in this. Just go ahead and trace your plastic canvas, zip tie it on there. You can get, hi Connie, you can get one of these styrofoam balls if you want, which I actually picked this one up for our sunflower class, our Unique in the Creek. You can get one of these plastic or styrofoam balls. They're 6 inches from Walmart. They're $5. You cut it in half down the middle, paint it. You can put beads on it. I saw someone made a center for a sunflower, and they actually used sunflower seeds. They glued little sunflower seeds. If you guys were in my poly burlap class, you saw that we did a center with the yarn, and that just gets pulled through the holes. So you definitely can put a center in this as well too. But what I was going to recommend is if you do that, and I think I already have, I just want to show you real quick what you can do. Or you can leave it open like it is in the picture. Hold on, I have a center here. There it is. For another flower that I was going to do. So what I was going to tell you, if you decided that you did want to put a center in here, this is pink, it's definitely not going to match, so let's pretend it's a different color. If you get the 6-inch ball, you're going to notice something. You're going to have spaces here. So all you need to do is, when you're making, just make extra petals, and I'm going to show you how to fold them. And instead of using the zip ties, just get pipe cleaners, okay, and feed them through the holes in your plastic canvas to fill in this little spot here. And if you took my spring mesh sunflower class, which was I think in March or April maybe, That's what we did. And you can actually, if you didn't get that video, let me know, I can send you that video. And it shows how to do that. It shows how to attach around your center so you can fill this part in. Or again, like I said, just take yarn, or you could take burlap and make little ruffles with burlap and attach that to your plastic canvas. I mean, you can even go on YouTube, honestly. I'll send you to YouTube and look up centers for flowers. Julie's Wreath Boutique has a channel on YouTube, and she does all sorts of different centers for flowers. So those are just options. You can definitely put a center in here if you want to. We're not going to do that tonight. Let me put my pink styrofoam ball back. But what I was trying to tell you at the beginning of class is that you can't really see them on mine because of the color of my mesh. But if you have like a dark mesh and you're using the white zip ties, they're not really white, they're sort of like clear, I guess. But you can't really see them on mine because of the color of my mesh. But if you're using a darker mesh and you don't want those to show, it's going to take a little bit of extra effort. But all you have to do, I don't know if I have a pipe cleaner that matches, but I think I just have like a brown. I would probably maybe get a tan pipe cleaner and just sort of go around, like cut a little, like, you know, maybe like a 3 or 4 inch piece, and just kind of wrap it around where your zip tie is, just to sort of cover that. Now this definitely doesn't match, but you know what I mean.
There are black zip ties.
There's all different colors, I think, of zip ties.
Yeah, because I bought black ones.
You got black ones? There you go. Because what color is your mesh?
Halloween colors.
There you go. So that's definitely an option. I don't know. I think I've only seen like the fluorescent crazy colors at Walmart. I've seen black. But again, and here's another thing. If you decide you do want to put a center in here, and you're going to end up adding more petals to fill in that plastic canvas around your center, that'll cover this too, because those petals will go over that.
What about putting a face in the center?
What's that?
What about putting a face in the center? Like,
sure. Yeah, you could definitely do that. You could actually, if you have like an image that you maybe want to print, you know, offline, or even if you have like a, you know, I know some of the wreath makers order signs, round signs from different sign makers. And you could actually, you know, put little holes in it and zip tie that into the center. Absolutely. Yeah, you could do that. But I kind of wanted to keep this just like it was in the picture. So let's get started. Now, here's what I wanted to show you, Mimi. If you have 21-inch mesh, I want to show you how I'm folding my 10-inch piece, okay? I'm actually going to bring the 2 corners together, okay? This stuff frays like crazy. And you're just going to like pinch it. This one is actually not a good piece to start off with because it's kind of curly. It's like an inside piece. Let me find one that's more flat. The inside pieces like to curl. So just take your 2 corners. So you're going to do the same thing with your 10 by 21-inch piece, Mimi, okay? And just pinch them together like that. Now, what I would recommend for you, Mimi, is because you're going to have a bigger piece, is I would actually fold my petal like that, okay? Because yours is going to be longer. Now, that's pretty short because I have 10-inch mesh. So what I was doing is after I pinched it together, I went down and I maybe, I don't know how much space it was there, maybe a couple of inches, just like that. Try to keep these curled together here. So I have just about that much space at the bottom. So I'm not doing like a total fold over with my mesh. You could still do it this way, Mimi, but I think your petals are gonna be bigger, or you could just entirely fold it over the way I showed you. Does that make sense?
Yes, but
Because my mesh
if
is
I fold it
smaller,
over it,
I'm not gonna
right.
do a total double fold. This is
But
the
isn't
part.
that gonna be too short, too small?
Who, me?
No, if I fold it,
Well, that's why you have to take a look at it. Try it and see. If you think that that's gonna be too short, then do it the way I'm doing it. Or maybe do like, you know, a little bit more. Just kind of play with it and see. It's entirely up to you how long you want your petals to be.
okay.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this as my guide, because I can see right here how much I have here on this piece next to it. Okay, and I've got maybe like 2 inches, I think. So we're gonna start on these 2. Let me plug my battery in before we lose you. I always forget that. Hold on one second. So we're gonna start on the 2 bottom rungs, okay? These 2 bottom. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go up through, let me think for a second here, hold on. Actually, we can flip it over, okay? We're gonna go up through in between the second one and the third one, okay? Now, Mimi, if you have it folded entirely in half, just push that whole half through. But since I'm only gonna make a little piece, I'm just gonna push this little piece in between the second and the third rung, okay? I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna bring it over. This is when we're gonna have to flip our wreath form over. So this is kind of a time-consuming thing, but it's worth it. Because you just wanna make sure your petal keeps its shape. So it's pulled through now. I have this little piece pulled through between the second and the third rung, my little tail here. And then you're gonna flip it over. These zip ties are kind of short. I'm making them work, but I would recommend getting maybe something a little, I was looking for 6-inch zip ties at Walmart today. I couldn't find them. They had either 4-inch or 8-inch, and I thought 8-inch was too long, so I got the 4-inch. So you're just gonna go ahead. Now remember, we want it to go around the first 2 rings. So we're gonna go up through, trying to get this so you can see. Take your zip tie and go up through right where we pushed our tail. So in between, see my finger is in between the second and the third ring with one side of your zip tie. Come around the other side. You know what I found out too? They have zip tie guns that actually will tighten your zip tie for you, and you don't have to freaking pull on it and kill your hands. I'm not quite sure where she got it. It was Carmen Catherine from Carmen Catherine's Wreaths that was using it. So go ahead and put your zip tie through. And what I do, you don't have to do this. I'm going to show you in a second. I'm going to tighten it as much as I can. But make sure your petal is pulled up nice and tight. Okay? Pull your zip tie as tight as you can get it. So you can see where I have that? Up in between, whoops, the second and the third. I pulled my zip tie too. What I sometimes do is I get my little pliers and I tighten my zip tie with that. You don't have to, but I just want to make sure it's nice and tight. And then you can snip off the rest. Did I totally confuse you guys? Does that make sense what I just did? Just make sure your petal is keeping its shape. And I just have, like I said, I just have a little bit of a tail. So I don't have it totally folded over. I just have a little bit there. And then you just push that over. You see how I want, this one actually could even have been made a little bit tighter. This one's a little bit looser than these, but That's okay, it doesn't really make that big of a difference, but that's how you want it to look. And like I said, I was able to fit 6 across mine. If you have a bigger wreath form, you're probably gonna be able to fit more. So let me grab another piece. Did I do it this way or did I do it this way? I did it this way. Let's try doing it this way. No, I'm all over the
Make up
place.
your mind.
Take your corners. What's that? Hey, Cheryl. I'm pinching in the middle, even though I'm not going to fold it over like that, because I just want to do that, and then I'll kind of work it down, because I want my petal to hold its shape, and then I'm going to kind of work it down to where I want it to be. Again, it's probably like a couple of inches, but I like when my petals are kind of like curled in like that. Do you see that? So I kind of wanted to keep it shape. Then I have my little tail. And again, you can use the one before that as your guide to make sure that, you know, you have, you know, they're about the same size. So again, we're going to go up through in between the second and the third ring with our little tail. Okay, bring your petal up over the bottom. Flip it over. And again, you can use the previous one that you just did as your guide to make sure that your tails are about the same size. This one's a little bit too big, so I'm going to pull it down a little bit. Okay. Get your zip tie. And again, you're going to be going up through the same hole in the same space that as you did with your little tail there. So go up in between the second and the third ring. Whoops, make sure your zip tie is the same way or it's not going to work. So start it and don't tighten it yet, okay? Just pull it a little bit and then make sure your petal is pulled up really, really tight. Pull it as tight as you can. You don't have to use your pliers, but it really does help to get it nice and tight. And that's it. Push it over. I just love the way that looks. I really do. I don't know why we didn't do this a long time ago. I'm like, why did I wait so long to do this? Does that make sense, or did I confuse you guys entirely? You're being very quiet. My bag of mesh here. My bag of mesh. I don't know why I put it in a bag this time. Usually I keep it in the roll. I decided to bag it. I'm going to assume that since nobody's saying anything, that you understand what we're doing. Is that a safe assumption to make, or or no?
I missed how to fold it because I had a phone call.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry. I'm not showing you now. You have 10-inch? Or you don't have anything yet?
Oh yeah, I got it already. I got 10-inch.
Okay. So just take your corners and bring them together like that. And just pinch, kind of like you're doing a ruffle.
Okay.
Okay. If you want your petals to be shorter, like Mimi's got 21-inch, just kind of fold it over like that. Okay, make them even. Okay.
Okay.
But since I want my petals to be a little bit bigger, I kind of like scrunch it down. I'm moving my hands down a little bit because I want my petal to keep its shape. So I'm sort of like holding it and pinching it as I move down. But I want to get to maybe like a couple of inches at the bottom for my little tail.
Oh.
Like that, see? But I like my petal to kind of stay curled in like that. I like that shape. But I'm just going to have a little tail there, okay? You're going to go up through, so your wreath form is facing you, it's facing up. You're going to go up through the second and the third ring. You see that?
Yep.
Okay, with your little tail. And then pull the petal up over the bottom. Okay, and sort of hold it like that. Just hold it like that for a minute because you're going to flip it over because you want to make sure that your little tail is the same size as the other ones. Just look at the one that's next to it, and you can kind of eyeball it and see if you need to make it a little bit smaller or just about the same size. Okay, take your zip tie. You're going to go right back up through that same hole that you put your tail through. So in between the second and the third ring. Don't pull it tight right away. You want to make sure that your petal is really, push that zip tie down as far as you can go around those two wires and pull. Like I said, I just use my little pliers because I'm crazy and I want it to be super tight. This actually helps it, again, from flopping around. Like I said, I was playing with it for a while and I was just doing it around the, just one wire, and they were just like flopping back and forth, and it was making me crazy. So now we have, I have 3 here, 1, 2, 3. And again, if you have a bigger wreath form, I was able to fit, I could probably even fit 7. But the reason I'm not going to is because when I do my second set of leaves or petals, you can see how I sort of have them in between. It's a little bit different than it's in the picture. I have them in between because I kind of like the way that looked. So I don't really want to wedge them too tight. You know what I did? I put one over here. I put one over here all by itself, and then I started over here. I don't know how that happened, but he's all by himself over here in one section. So we'll get back to him. I don't know how that happened. So again, I really probably, I'm just going to do 6 because you want to make sure that when you're putting your second row of petals in, because the second row of petals isn't going to go around the last 2. It's going to go around the middle 2. And you're going to kind of wedge them in between the ones that are already there. So you kind of want to have a little bit of space. You want them to be tight, but you want to be able to still move it over a little bit so you can get the bottom part of your little tail up through there. And I'll show you when we get to that because we're going to do one section at a time. And this is something I kind of decided to do at the last minute, and I liked the way it looked, so I'm sticking to it. Boy, it's pouring outside. And again, I'm only doing this way because I just want my petal to keep its shape. So I'm just kind of like folding it together as I go down and make my little tail. It's probably about 2 inches, I would say. I don't know, you can measure it if you want. Let's see. No, it's more like 3 inches. Again, go up between the second and the third. Come up with your petal. The only reason I'm flipping it over is because I just want to make sure that my little tails are, about the same size. If you measure them, if you want to take the time to measure each one, or you're fairly confident that they are the same size, then if you guys can hear that rain, it's pouring here. So again, don't tighten it all the way, right away. Once you get it on there, just kind of pull up on your petal. As long as you're not pulling on the end, you're not going to have any frays. You're kind of pulling in the middle. Make it as tight as you can. Push that zip tie down as far as you can. Yeah, I gotta find where to buy that little zip tie gun. Not that I really use zip ties all that often, but it was kind of like a gun, and she just did something, and it just tightened it, and then she was able to snip it right off at the same time. So. Isn't that pretty? Hold on 1 second for me. I just gotta, hold on 1 second. I gotta make a quick phone call here. You knew I was gonna have a class. Hey, you wanna say hi to the ladies? I'm right in the middle of my class. You're not on speaker, don't worry. I am. I said, I gotta take this phone call. It's my honey. I did. I did. Are you driving home now? Can I call you after class? Oh, no. All right. I'll call you when I'm done. Is Doug's bringing you back then? Hello? I totally embarrassed him. Are you really calling me in the middle of your class? I am. I wasn't going to put him on speaker and embarrass him, though. He, my honey, is a car wholesaler, and he drives all over buying and selling cars. And he, I don't know if you saw the post, I don't know how long ago it was, but he had a heart attack about a month ago. And so I worry like constantly now. And so he had to drive all the way down to New Jersey to pick up a car, and it won't start. So, and New Jersey's probably like a 5-hour drive. So now he's got to go all the way back. That kind of stinks, drive all that way. All right, I have 4 in here now. Sorry about that, ladies. Anybody else join us? Mimi, how are you doing with your pieces there? Oh no, what's wrong? Mimi, I just need to come over.
I came down to Miami.
I'll come to Miami. You gonna cook Cuban food for me? Are you Cuban?
Yes.
I knew it. You gonna cook some Cuban food for me if I come down and help you?
And I love to cook.
I love to eat. What's happening, Mimi? Are the petals not coming out right?
No, I think I'm doing it right, but the mesh is awful.
Yeah, where did you get your mesh from?
I don't remember. I have a whole bunch of them and I don't remember. Probably Michael's or
Oh
Joy.
God, Michael's is the worst. Don't ever buy Michael's mesh. I'm so sorry.
I cut it with a wood thing and
It doesn't matter.
No.
It doesn't matter. Their mesh is terrible. I've used their mesh. I've cut it with the wood burning tool and it still frays.
Okay, if I wanted to show this to you, what do I do?
Turn your video cam on.
Wait.
What are you using? A phone or an iPad or?
iPad.
Just tap your screen with your finger.
I did.
And then you should see controls that say start and stop video.
Yeah, start video.
Yeah.
And then what?
Then you should pop up if your video is
no,
working.
my hair is in a mess. I have no makeup.
Oh, no, that's okay. But don't you want to show me your wreath?
Right. But hold on. Let me see. Hold on.
All right, honey. I'm here. We're here. Yeah, Michael's is terrible. Their mesh is terrible.
Okay.
There it is. There's Mimi. Well, let me tap on your picture here so you're big. Okay, you want to hold it up for me? I can see your hand. Or something. I can't see your wreath. What do you got covering the camera there? Is that your hand? There we go. Hold it up a little bit more. I'm trying to figure out why they're so poofy.
Because there's 21 inches.
You folded it right in half?
No.
I would try that. I would try folding them right in half like I showed you.
Okay. Okay.
I would try that to make them a little bit smaller. You're gonna get it, Mimi, don't worry.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute, I'm going around the wrong one now, hold on. Try to press it down a little bit. Like when you're making your petal, like flatten it down with your hand and try to smooth it out. Right, again, I'm pulling my petal as hard as I can here. Hold on a minute, let me click back on my picture. Whoops. There we go. Well, my honey called me twice, so I thought it might have been important. So this mesh is really nice, Mimi. I got this from BB Crafts. It's nice. But like I said, when you're folding your petal, sort of like try to flatten it. Let me see here. No, 21-inch mesh should work. Just fold it over entirely, like I showed you. So pinch it in the middle. And what I would do is after you get it into this shape, make sure that your ends are all curled in like that. You see that? Make sure they're curled in, okay? And when you fold it over, just try to flatten it with your hand. Just push on it, you know what I mean? Try not to pull on the edges because we know Michael's mesh is insane and it frays, but just flatten it down a little bit. And you know what you can even do too? After you get all your petals on, if you've got like maybe some heavy books or something, just lay it right down on your petals to flatten your petals out. There's no reason why you can't do that. I've seen people do that. And that'll help, you know, so your petals won't be so poofy. Yeah, you should just go and sell all your Michael's mesh at a garage sale and start over again. This is actually jute mesh. This is, it's got some metallic in it, but it's got burlap jute in it. So again, I think this is probably going to be my last piece for the 2 bottom rungs here. And I'm going to flip it over again just so you can see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is going to be my last piece. Again, if you have a bigger wreath frame, you may need to add another petal. But don't get it so tight that you can't get your second row in, because I'm going to show you that in a second here. Again, don't tighten it all the way. Pull your petal, but try to pull it from the bottom so you don't pull any frays out. Just make sure that that's, whoops. See, now I'm pulling this out a little bit. I don't want to lose that. I don't want to lose my little tail. There. You probably don't even have to use the pliers. I'm just being crazy because I want it to be tight. Okay. So this is how it looks with just, don't look at this part. This is how it looks with just the bottom pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. There's the 6 across the 2 bottom rungs of the bottom. So this is where it's going to get a little bit tricky. But you can do this. I can do it, you can do it. I kind of thought about it for a minute when I started doing it, and I thought, well, I'm going to go around the outside too and see how that looks. And it just didn't look right. So I said, okay, let me see if I can't wedge it in between. What was that piece I just was pulling out here? I'll get it later. And if you don't like the way these little tails look, you can definitely cut those off after. Or you can kind of maybe even tuck them in. You know, you can't really see them because they're in the back, but if you don't like the way those little tails look, you can cut them off. So I'm going to make my petal the exact same way. I'm slowly kind of going down to about 3 inches. Just kind of like try to keep it curled in as you're going down. I know it's kind of weird, but if you take your time, it's not a race. Make sure your petal, because as the pieces get toward the center more, it's going to get curlier. But see how, that's how I want it to look, kind of curled in like that. And you're holding your little 3-inch piece at the bottom. So let me see the best way I can show you this. You want to go in between, okay? So that's why I said don't make it too tight. See how I have a little bit of space there? I want to go in between this one from the previous section and this one, but you know, pretend that there isn't a previous section. If you didn't have a previous section on here, you're going to go in between your first one and your second one, okay? This is my first one and my second one here, okay? But because I already did one whole section and I want to put a piece in there, so you're going to go in between the third, here's the 4th ring here, if you can see that, hold on, I'm trying to hold my petal. Here's the 4th ring here, and here's your 3rd ring. You want to go in between these two with your tail. Now, you also have to go in between the, so this is probably, let's do it this way. In fact, I think this is how I did it. I did it from the back. Because you actually have to go in between the first and the second one with this big piece. So let's do it from the back instead. All right, you see how there's my piece that's kind of wedged in between the two. There's my 2 on the bottom for my other section. And then I have the piece wedged in between the two, wrapped around this, the 3rd and the 2nd bar. All right, so let's do it this way instead. Yeah, this is going to be easier this way. Do it this way instead. Go in between the 1st and the 2nd ring, okay, with your tail. And that way you don't have to pull, if you go through the back, you don't have to worry about pulling that whole piece. Hold on, let me think here. Yeah, you don't have to pull anything through. I didn't do that. We just pull our tail through in between the 1st and the 2nd bar. So the 1st row that we put on, we pulled the tail through the 2nd and the 3rd bar. This one that we're going to put in the middle is going to go in between the 1st and the 2nd bar. You follow me? We come up around with our tail. We're not going to pull, or not our tail, our petal. We're not going to pull our petal through anything. We're just going to lay it down. Once we get it secure, we're going to push it to the back behind this front one that we did. Okay? We're going to do the same thing. Make sure your petal's all nice and rolled in. Okay, here's our tail in between the 1st and 2nd bar. I'm going to use the one from my other section. You know, you really don't have to do that because you can't now. Because there's really nothing. You kind of just have to eyeball it and see if it's around 3 inches. There's really nothing to compare it to when you're starting on your 2nd row. I mean, I can because I already have another one here. But if you're just starting. So then we're going to take our zip tie and go around in between, pull it up through the, hold on a minute here. I'll start on this side. Sorry if you can't see. You're gonna pull one end of your zip tie up in between the third and the last bar, around that piece of mesh, around your tail. Okay, again, make it nice and tight and even. I'm going to show you a close-up in a second here. Just kind of pull it. Okay, now I'm going to take my little tail and I'm going to kind of tuck it under. You don't have to, because you can cut it off if you want, but I'm just going to tuck it under the first and the first bar here, just so it's not sticking up. I have a little fray here. This is going to be kind of time consuming, but you want to take your time with it. You don't want to rush it. Then your end result will be nice. What do I have here? Let me see. Okay. So then you kind of push it to the back. There's the piece I just added. I'm going to kind of push it to the back and pull the one next to it over it a little bit, and then I'm going to push them both over. So you can see, this was my section that I already did here, okay? I pushed this first piece over that I put on the bottom, and I wedged this second piece in between. That's what you're going to do. And they're going to go around the second and the third bar. Your first row of petals went around the first and second bar. Your second row of petals is going to go around your second and third bar. And I can push this one over. You're going to have, like I said, a little tiny bit of a space here, but you're not going to see your wreath form. And it kind of, I don't know, it kind of looks almost like a braided look to me. I like the way that looks. Are you guys in agreement? Do you like the way that looks, or am I out of my mind? Any comments, or should I shut the video off now? Somebody's sending me a chat. Hold on, let me see who that is. You guys are awful quiet, making me nervous. Who's chatting me here? Connie says, looks good to me. Thanks, Connie. Hey, Cindy, when did you pop in?
Just a few minutes ago.
What do you think?
It looks pretty cool.
You sounded hesitant. I said you hesitated.
Oh, well, I'm actually trying to finish this swag up from the other night, too. So, no, I was holding something so I didn't burn my finger. It looks good, though.
It's a little bit different that's in the picture. I changed it a little bit. Because I like the way that looks with the two kind of wedged.
Yeah, that looks nice.
It almost kind of reminds me of macrame. Remember macrame?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Or no?
Yes, I do.
Okay. It's already 9 o'clock and we're not even halfway through. We may not finish this in class because, like I said, this is something that you want to take your time with. You don't really want to rush it. So again, there's my petal. We're going to kind of move it down, keeping it curled in to about 3 inches. And I hope that makes sense, how I was putting it in between there. I tried to be as clear as I could. So now we got to go in between these two, okay? In between, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to go in between now. If you have a bigger wreath form, you're going to need more. Don't put them so tight together that you can't push them apart to do your piece in the middle. Up in between the first and second bar with your tail. Hold it there for a minute. Just flip it over. You got to kind of try to push this around to the back. This one's going to be in the back, the second row. Whoops. If you have a little tape measure, just to make sure that little tail is about 3 inches, you can do that. Or eyeball it. That looks about 3 inches. Okay, and again, your zip tie is going to go. There's my petal. It's kind of hard to see because all the petals are like squished together. Your zip tie is going to go up and around. So make sure it's wrapped around the 2 middle bars. So you're going to go in between the second and the third bar with your zip tie, the one end, come around the other side. Just make sure you have enough of your tail pulled up so you're not going to lose your petal. That's why you want to kind of have, at least 3 inches there. You can even do more if you want your petals to be a little bit smaller. You can fold it entirely in half if you want, like I showed Mimi in the beginning there. So then make sure it's pulled tight and push that zip tie down as far as you can. I don't think I'm going to tuck that tail in. I might end up just cutting my little tails off. Whoops, that's what I want. And that's it. Cindy, I was telling these guys too at the beginning of class that you can leave the center open if you want, and just push that over so it's nice and tight. Excuse me. You can leave the center open like that if you want, like it is in the picture, and maybe add a little bow or something on the side.
Okay.
I don't know where my fall ribbon is, so I didn't have time to get any fall ribbon out.
Okay.
So I may add a bow later. Or you can definitely do like we did with the other flower classes that we had and do the plastic canvas in the middle
Okay.
and do like the yarn center, or I was telling them Julie's Wreath Boutique has a lot of tutorials on different centers for flowers. But if you're going to put the plastic canvas in the middle, you may end up having a little bit of a space after you put your center in. And all you would do in that instance is when you're making your petals, you're going to need to fill in that little spot. You're probably going to have maybe an inch gap depending on what you use for your center. If you do like a yarn center, you can just fill the whole thing in. But if
Right.
you have like a half a styrofoam ball, you're going to have like maybe an inch that you're going to need to fill in with mesh. So
Okay.
you just make your petal the same way you normally do. But if you remember how we did the spring mesh flower,
Yes.
where we took this, you'd have to use a pipe cleaner. I mean, you could use a zip tie if you want to, but the pipe cleaner, you would feed that through the plastic canvas and then just fill that in.
Okay.
Does
All
that
right,
make
thanks.
sense?
Yep, it did. Thank you.
You're welcome. So it's easier to do the second section from the back, or the second row, I should say. You're going to find that your petals are going to be a little bit harder to manage when you get to this more toward the center of the roll, because it just, the pieces like to curl more. You can even do this one first. I mean, that might not even be a bad idea. Do this, the 2 middle bars that we're doing now, do that first and then do the front. That might even be a better idea. But I started with the 2 bottom wires, and then I decided to do this, so that's how I'm continuing. All right, so and take your time. Make sure you have enough of that tail pulled up. I think, like again, it's about 3 inches. Just enough so you don't lose your petal. And they're about the same size. BB Crafts has all different colors of this too. They have red. I'm trying to think what else they have. I think they had a purple. As far as I know, they're the only ones that, I think they may carry this at Hobby Lobby too, but the metallic isn't as wide.
Christina,
Yes, my dear.
I threw away what I had and I started with the 10-inch and I'm cutting as I go along, but I have one question.
Okay.
The tie, does it go through the wire or is it just attached to the mesh?
The zip tie.
Yes.
Okay. Let's do another one on the bottom then, so I can show you. I'll start over here because I already put one over here.
Okay.
So take your mesh, just kind of scrunch it up into the middle. And like I said, the reason I do this is because I want it to kind of curl in like that. I want it to curl in, if possible. And I just sort of like work it down till I have about 3 inches here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I already have one in this section kind of by itself, so we'll go over here. You're going to go up in between. You have 4 wires on your wreath form, 1, 2, 3, 4.
5.
You have 5?
Oh, no, the 4 wires.
Okay. You want to wrap your petal around. You see how my petal is wrapped around these 2 wires? Okay. So in order to do that, take your little tail. You want this curled side.
Right, I got that.
Okay. So go up through in between the first and second wire with your little tail.
Yes.
Okay. Bring your petal up around the bottom wire. You're going to kind of try to hold them together. You want to try to pinch it. All right, pinch it for a second, hold it, and flip it over. This is a little bit long. Make sure you have about 3 inches of your tail here.
Okay.
Just enough you don't lose it. Doesn't have to be exact. Take your zip tie. Okay. Go up in between on one side of it. You've got your petal, you're holding it, and it's wrapped around the 2 bottom wires.
Right. Yes.
Go in between the second and third wire. Okay. With one side of your zip tie. And you're going to go up around the other side. Let me make sure I have my zip tie turned the right way. Hold on, I'm going to show you.
So it doesn't go through the wire. It doesn't attach to the wire. It's just to the
No,
mesh.
it's wrapping around the mesh. Yep.
Just the mesh.
Yep.
Okay, that was my question.
Okay. So then once you get it pulled through, okay, pull on your mesh from the bottom. Don't pull from it from up here because then you're going to cause frays. So grab your little tail and put your zip tie through kind of loosely at first in case you have to make any adjustments. Don't tighten it all the way. And then just make sure that your tail is the way you want it. It's, you know, not too long, it's not too short. Okay. Pull on your petal from down here to make sure, and then push your zip tie down as far as you can. So it's really pressed up against the second wire and hugging that mesh. And then you tighten it as tight as you can. If you don't have pliers, it's fine. But this just kind of helps me to give it a little extra. Let me snip that off.
Okay.
What color do you have, Mimi? I'm sorry about the 21-inch mesh.
Oh, that's okay.
If I would have known you had Michael's mesh, honey, I would have told you to not use
Yeah,
it.
but I have so many of their rolls that I bought on sale.
Really? Oh, gosh.
They
Was
won't
that
take it
before,
back.
was that before you joined the club?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Because I would have told you, no, no.
Thank you.
You're welcome, my dear. Okay. That is so pretty. Get a drink of water here. All right, where were we? We're doing our second pieces now, our middle section. All right, so I have, where am I? Over here. I have 4 more pieces here, so I have to put 3 more. 1, 2, 3 in between these 4 pieces. And it's going to seem like you're not going to be able to fit them in there, but you can. This would be really pretty for like at Christmas time, maybe do like a red and white. You could alternate your colors. You could do maybe red, white, and blue, 4th of July. You could do red and green for Christmas. It's just a different kind of a flower. I mean, everybody's got their own version of a flower. This one's just a little bit different. All right, so now flip it over for our second row. But look how nice and neat that is in the back too. It's very neat. All right, so I got to push this over. Go up with our tail in between the first and second ring. I'm going to go right in between those 2. Again, if you want to start with your second row first, or your instead of the way I did it, where I started with the first 2 bottom rings, you can definitely, you know, do it the opposite way if it makes it a little bit easier than trying to wedge them in between. But if you're careful and you take your time, it works. And again, if you're having some fraying, when you're all done, snip off your little frays and get that spray, take it outside, flip it over, and just spray all your edges and let it dry outside, because that spray is kind of stinky. It doesn't really leave, don't overdo it, because sometimes you can kind of see it, especially if you have a darker mesh. It might leave like a little bit of a residue. So don't go crazy with it, like I did one time, because I speak from experience. All right, where'd my petal go? See, this is why you kind of got to take your time. It's easy to get kind of lost in between all these petals here, but it was really cool here all day, and now all of a sudden you got to make sure your zip tie is the right way too, or it's not going to work. Okay. I like how they lay nice and flat. I like that. Okay. So now I have to get 2 more in between these 2 pieces here. We have quite a bit more sections, few more sections to do here. We may not be able to get this all done in class tonight, but that's okay. We'll get done as much as we can. See how they kind of curl a little bit when you get toward the center of the roll. You just kind of want to do their own thing. I still have another roll too. Nope, I want this side. This is a little bit of a different color than the one that's in the picture. I think the one in the picture was more like a copper metallic. This is an orange, like a darker orange. I could not find the copper. That was sold out everywhere. Wasn't going to happen. You just have black, Lenore, or do you have another color to go with it? Like black mesh, or you said you have black zip ties?
It's actually purple, green, orange stripes.
Oh, nice.
The black background. But I ended up doing mine a little different, so I have no
Okay.
idea how it's going to turn out.
What did you do? Tell me.
I folded them in half instead of going all the way down because that wasn't working for me. I do what you do as far as you put them into the middle, take the side corners, put it into middle,
Mm-hmm.
and then kind of scrunch it up. But then when I tried to do it the way you're doing it, it wasn't working for me. So I folded it in half and then putting them on that way. Does that make
Okay,
sense?
I'm sure, I mean, that'll be fine too. I just wanted my petals to be a little bit bigger, that's all.
Yeah, it wasn't working for me trying to do it that way. So,
I'm sorry.
oh no.
But the nice thing is that you do what works for you, you know, and
Yeah.
yours is gonna be unique, you know, for you.
Oh yeah, it's going to be
What it's all about. I know, I'll tell you something right now, my pipberry wreath didn't come out as nice as yours do.
Well, you do them totally different than the way I do them.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Do you buy the loose ones or do you do the garland?
Nope, I get the garlands, but I don't put it on the way you do.
Well, how did you do it?
I'm
You
not,
wanna share?
I'm not a good teacher, and I'm not good at explaining.
Oh, okay.
I pull all the strands to one side,
Yeah.
and then I wire it on. I wire the main part of the garland on, and I go around twice.
Oh, I messed up on this one now. I'm sorry, because I'm chatting. You go around twice?
Yep, and then I fluff them all together.
You do what all together?
Then once I get 2 garlands on, or how many, sometimes I put up to 4 garlands on one.
Wow.
And then I blend them all together. I blend the berries together.
Well, mine didn't come out too bad, I guess. Mine's like sitting right behind me.
That looked nice. I thought it looked nice. It's just a different style. Yeah, it still turned out really nice.
You're just being nice. I'm teasing. I've always loved pipberries. I love the primitive and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, me too.
In fact, I have in my dining room, excuse me, in my living room, I have, I still call it a china cabinet. My mom, it was my mom's, or a hutch, you know, whatever you want to call it. And on the top, I have a floral garland with white lights, and I have 4 salt boxes.
Ooh, I love salt boxes.
Oh, I love salt boxes. Salt box houses, yeah. So Anyway, thanks for sharing. I can't wait to see yours when it's done. I messed up because I was chatting, and so I wrapped it around one wire instead of two, so that's why I had to redo that one, if anybody's wondering what I just did. Because I was chit-chatting. All right. I have one more, and it's going to be kind of be a tight fit, but I'm going to get it in there. I just realized that when I was complaining to my children the other day that I need a bigger craft table. I have a folding table in my basement that's longer. I don't really need anything wider. I just need something a little bit longer. So I think I'm going to try to bring that up and start using that to give myself a little bit more room so my stuff doesn't, because doing the garland the other day was hard because I did not have enough room. I had like my little TV tray over here holding one end, and my ribbon was falling all over the place. This is going to kind of be a tight squeeze here, but we're going to do it. It's always a pain when you go to get your, and I'm doing it again, I'm putting it around the wrong. You gotta go up between the third and fourth wire. There we go. It's always a pain when you go to put your zip tie on and you realize you don't have it turned the right way. The only other time I really ever use zip ties, honestly, is when I'm doing shelf liner wreaths. I have not made a shelf liner wreath in months. I used to make them all the time. That was sort of like my thing that I did when I first started getting back into reading again. So you know how I like to tell you guys stories from my life as an admin in the other group that I have, my big Need to Read group. Well, today, my friend Debbie messaged me and she said, what happened to so-and-so and why was she kicked out of the group and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know, I have two other admins that help me, so I don't really see everything that happens. I mean, they're awesome. And, you know, it's kind of like when you hire employees for a store and you know they're going to do the job right, so you trust them to do what they're supposed to do. Well, you know there's no selling in the group. Right, this section's done. So now I have two sections done. I actually have 3 more pieces on this third section, but anyway. So she messages me and she says, well, why was so-and-so kicked out of the group? She didn't mean to comment that, whatever she commented, and I mean, she wasn't being mean to me. She just was curious. And we have this thing now as admins that when someone's removed from the group, we can put a note saying why. Not a note for the person that was removed, hey Rhonda, but a note for the other admins to show why they were removed. Hey! So now we're going back up. I'm going to finish off this section here. I have 2 in this section here from before in the bottom 2 wires. So now I got to remember how I did the bottom because I've been working on the middle. Bottom is you just go up between the third and the second wire. Okay. So I went and I looked, and my admin had put a note that just basically said she was trying to sell the Dollar Tree witch hats. You guys know the Dollar Tree witch hats that were so popular last year, and people were ripping off the tinsel and making all sorts of pretty things. I made a Christmas tree out of one last year. You know, the Dollar Tree witch hats I'm talking about? So someone had made, my friend Debbie had made one of the little ones that are wrapped in the mesh that were so pretty last year. And she just made another one this year. And this girl just popped out and she says, I've got 11 Dollar Tree, you know, witch hats if anybody wants to buy them. And so my admin just jumped on and said, don't do that, you know, there's no selling allowed here. So the woman liked her comment, she liked it, so she saw it, and then she just went ahead and commented again and said, if anybody wants to buy one, please send me a PM. So my admin removed her because she just like read the comment and knew that she wasn't supposed to do that and went ahead and did it anyway. And you would think that that's not a big deal, but it's just very disrespectful when someone knows what the rules are and they just deliberately don't follow them. Anyway, so apparently I told her, I said, well, she was removed from the group. This is why, you know, if she wants to join again, she's more than welcome to, you know, because sometimes my admin may act a little bit hastily when it comes to removing people. I may not be so quick to do that. And she said, no. She goes, I have other groups that I'm happy with. I'm not going to come back. Like, people feel like it's going to, like, destroy my life if they don't come back. Am I sounding really, like, snotty right now? If I am, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to, like, have conversation here. Anyway, this one probably could have been a little bit tighter, but I'm chatting away here. So I have 3 in this section now. I'm going to try to squeeze in 3 more. It's very tough being an admin. That's all I'm going to say. It's hard.
What'd you use to cut that mesh with, Christina?
My scissors.
Your scissors?
Because I'm crazy. Because I sit with my scissors and I make sure that I cut it in between the lines. I
Right.
don't want it to fray.
Wow.
Because you can't cut this stuff with the wood burning tool because it's got
Right.
the heat running through it.
Right. Okay. All right. Thanks.
You're welcome. Did I sound like bitchy when I just told that story? I'm sorry if I did. You guys can tell me.
No, you didn't. I mean,
Okay.
the rules are there for a reason. If they can't understand them, and then like what?
Well, the fact that she had just told her not to do that and she just went
Yeah.
ahead and did it anyway.
Yeah.
Shut the hell up.
So now we're just doing our bottom 2 rings again because that's what we're starting with. If you guys want to start with the middle 2 rings, you can, if it's easier for you than trying to squeeze them through after. You guys, can you guys hear that rain? It's pouring here.
Christina, I'm gonna tell you something that happened to me yesterday. I was looking through Facebook.
Let me turn up the volume, honey, because I can't hear you. 1 second. Let me turn up my volume. Whoops, hold on. If it'll let me. 1 second, here we go. Okay, go ahead.
I was looking through Facebook and I see this lady waiting. She was quiet. And I thought, oh, she's waiting to make a wreath. So I waited to see what she was gonna do. Well,
It was like a
all of sudden-
live, a Facebook live?
Yes,
Okay.
I think, maybe not, but that's not the point. She starts talking and crying and crying and crying and crying.
Oh, no.
And I'm listening to all, you know who she is. And I'm listening to all this. And all of a sudden, I get a message saying, what are you laughing about? And I'm thinking, what did I do? Well, I must have pushed some little icon with the little laughter.
Oh,
When in
by
reality,
mistake?
I was crying for her or with her because of all the things that she was saying that happened to her. She is.
So you hit the laughing emoji by mistake and someone got mad at you.
I felt so awful.
You can undo that, you know. You can undo that. You just have to hover, you just have to hit the like button again and it'll remove it.
Oh, I didn't know how to do it.
Yeah.
You know, and
If you put like a laughing face or a mad face or something or whatever, and you don't mean to do that, just click the like button again and it'll remove it and you can fix it.
the like button?
Like when you go to like a post,
Right.
when you give a thumbs up,
Yes.
just click like again and it'll remove what was already there. It'll take it away and you can redo it.
I wrote to her, and then I wrote to whatever she sells her wreath, and I said, please forgive me. I did not mean this. I felt awful while she's crying, this little thing.
Who was it?
Jenny,
Why was she upset?
he was having problems. You even comment on her site. I saw your name.
Really?
Yes.
It's the one that got bashed about, she's the one that mentioned about Damon and the flip-flops and stuff?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, you mean
Jennifer?
Yeah.
Jackie?
Yeah.
Not Jackie.
With a J.
Jackie's Wreaths and Things?
Yes.
Oh, no, but I watched the same one that Mimi's talking about yesterday. Mine was a replay. Is that what you watched, Mimi?
Yes, I did. Yes.
Yeah, same here.
Well, that's the one where I had the little smiley icon, and I felt so awful. And I thought, oh my God, only I would do something that idiotic.
Well, honey, no, don't feel bad because it happens. You click the wrong button. You can undo that. Like I said, just click the like button again, and
Okay.
it'll remove it, and you can fix it. 'Cause I've done that too.
I hope it doesn't ever happen again.
Oh, Mimi, don't be so hard. Don't be so hard on yourself, honey.
That was terrible. And then I go even further, and I see the lady from Paula.
Can't see how to make it because you won't start up.
Uh-oh. I'm gonna mute you guys because it's getting a little loud here. Just so we can finish this up here. Yeah, Paula Chupak.
Yes.
Hold on a second.
Well, I don't believe that she gave it to a shelter. I think she just.
There we go. Okay. Make sure that you guys are muted when you start chatting with your family, just to keep, I love you guys, just keep noise down a little bit, that's all. One time, we had a member that went to the bathroom during class. I felt so bad for her because she was yelling at her husband. She was in the bathroom and he had peed on the seat or something. I don't know. I don't mean to be gross, but she's like yelling at him and she didn't realize that she wasn't muted. And she was so embarrassed. Poor lady.
You're making me laugh.
Oh, you know what? I got my zip tie on the wrong side. Make sure that you have your zip tie in the back. I'm making you laugh. That's good, Mimi. I love you. I want to make you laugh. Did you order that T-shirt for yourself or no? That I showed you?
It was too big. I like.
Yeah, I just realized they only had plus sizes. I didn't realize it was a plus size.
Yeah, I wear a small, but it was cute.
I wish I wore a small. Oh, I'm built like my grandmother. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can fit one more on here on the bottom. We may not be able to finish this whole thing. We have 3 more sections to go, but I think you guys are getting the general idea of how to do this. Again, it's not something that you want to rush. I like it though. I think I want to do more like this. And maybe I want to do one with a center too, I think. I might even put a center in this one. I think even like burlap ruffles would look nice. And it's so easy to do a burlap ruffle. If you want to get a roll of burlap, and a roll of burlap is 6 inches wide, okay? Get yourself a roll of burlap and cut it into 6 by 6 inch pieces. and ruffle it up like you would a piece of mesh. You can put a pipe cleaner in the middle and pull it through the plastic canvas, and you can make a little burlap ruffle center. Very, very pretty. Actually, I'm still not even done with this section. I have to do my other row. If you want to go ahead and do all your first row first, and then go in and do your second row, but I kind of wanted to show you how to complete each section, just in case we didn't get done in class. So again, just make sure your zip tie is pulled down all the way. This tail might be a little bit longer, but sweat it. Pretty, pretty. So again, you really can't even see my zip ties, because they blend right in with my mesh. You really can't even see those. But again, you can buy colored zip ties if you want to go in with a pipe cleaner and cover that up. Or like I said, if you do end up putting your center in, you're going to have to add more mesh to fill that in, and those leaves will then cover that. It'll cover those. But I kind of like the way that looks. I don't really even know if I want to cover that. Like I said, it reminds me of macrame. When was macrame popular? Was that like the 60s? Is that when that was popular? I think so. Or 70s. I think what I'm going to do now is instead of going and doing my second row, I'm just going to continue going around and filling in my first row so we can get as much done during class as possible here. Who's chatting me a question here? 70s. Thank you, Connie. That's what I thought. I was only 10 years old in 1975, so. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to continue doing my bottom 2 rows. 2 rings, I should say. So, I mean, you know, we could even stop right here because you guys probably get the gist of what I'm doing, but I'm not going to stop. Let's just keep going until 10 o'clock because it is supposed to be a 2-hour class. I just want to make sure that my tail is, wait a second, what did I just do? I lost my tail. There was a lot of hubbub going on about that whole Damon comment. I could say something, but so I have my own opinion about what happened during that live, but and what was said. But I find it curious that he deleted it.
What happened? Because I saw two ladies who were defending themselves. They're wreath makers and they do videos.
Well, I will tell you what happened because I saw it as it happened. And I was sort of put off by it. Now, I try not to really be too outspoken about stuff like that because, you know, everybody loves Damon and Julie, and there's a select group of wreath makers that, you know, everybody just loves. And I don't want to badmouth anybody. This isn't what this is about. It is community. You know, we are a wreathing community. We need to support each other. But I was a little bit put off by what he said. You know, maybe, I'm sure he didn't mean it, but he was recording, doing a live during Wreath Makers Live. And I know I noticed it too, that he wasn't in flip-flops, he was barefoot. He was walking around on stage. He didn't have any shoes on at all, like he does when he does his lives, which isn't a big deal. But in my opinion, if you're at a convention that people paid $300 a piece for, put a pair of khakis on and a nice shirt and wear shoes. That's just my opinion. But then it almost seemed like he didn't know he was recording. And all of a sudden he like came back toward the camera and he said something like, "What are you guys doing here? You're not supposed to be here." Like talking to the camera. And he said, "If you want to see what's going on, next time pay." And everybody in the audience cheered. And I was like, what the heck? And it really bothered me. Now, apparently, what really happened was his aunts were on the live and they were commenting, or one of his aunts or something, and he was directing that comment to them. And the people weren't cheering about what he said. They were cheering because I guess Nick Creticos from Nick's Seasonal Decor commented on the live and said, "Damon, you're kicking ass." And that's what they cheered at. Do I believe that? I don't know. I kind of feel like he realized what he said was sort of wrong, and then he's just trying to save face. I don't know. I could be wrong. Don't repeat that, but I don't know. I probably shouldn't have even commented on it, but it did bother me when I first saw it, and then the whole thing with Jackie going live and talking about it. Damon's never done anything wrong to me. No one's ever done anything wrong to me. So Damon actually mentioned me in his paid group once and said, you know, how, you know, if you want to, you know, learn different things, join my group. And I thought that was really nice of him to do that. He didn't have to do that. So anyway, that's that.
So there was some other kind of drama going on. I don't know if it's one of the other wreath groups I'm in. Two ladies one day after each other.
They did what?
Two ladies one day after each other posted how they were defending themselves against someone else, saying bad things for them. And the one lady's like, they've been talking trash about her for 4 years.
Oh, was that Bev from South Texas Creations?
I'm not sure who it is. It's two people I have never even saw any videos of before and didn't even know they existed until they both posted these and saying how they're being attacked.
I'm sorry. I just think that's just so ridiculous. I hate the drama. Like I said, it bothered me when I first saw Damon say that, and I didn't know if he was serious or not. But I belong to an admin group where, you know, I hear about all this stuff firsthand, and the ladies just go on and on and on. And I'm just like too busy. You know, I don't want to deal with it. You know, it's this. I just want to make pretty wreaths. Honestly, that's all I want to do.
I really thought none of this went on until I saw those two videos. I'm like, what?
Oh, trust me, you have no idea. I didn't realize how much drama there was until I started my own group. And, you know, it's kind of sad in a way because it does seem like it's a popularity contest sometimes. that, you know, when I first started doing these paid classes back in July of 2017, it was only me and maybe 2 or 3 other people that were doing them. It was me, it was Damon, it was Debbie from Debbie's Wreaths and Things. I think Julie from Southern Charm Wreaths. There may have been somebody else, I don't remember. And I don't know if you guys have heard the story, but my group was never meant to be a paid group. It was meant to be just like a community thing. You know, let's get together every couple weeks and let's get online and, you know, make wreaths, because there was a lot of people that, you know, were alone and they didn't have anybody to craft with. And it's just, you know, it's fun. You know, you guys we get to chit chat. You know, we've made new friends. I've made so many new friends, but then I realized how much work it was. And they kind of turned into classes. But anyway, it just seems like everybody and their grandmother now has a paid group.
Yep.
And everybody's doing Facebook Lives, and it literally, like I said, it's turned into like a popularity contest. And I don't know, I just think.
Christina, did you go to the convention?
No,
Oh,
I'm not gonna spend $300. I'm sorry.
okay.
I'm sorry. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
But
I
what
would-
did they?
I, you know,
what
I
did
would
they
have gone
do?
to meet people. I would have loved to have met Connie from Connie's Designs, and Lori Riley Jacobs was there from Hardworking Mom. Who else was there? Debbie from Debbie's Wreaths and Things. I love her. I took my first class with Debbie about 1.5 years ago. So yeah, I really haven't been doing this that long, you guys. You've heard it first here. 1, 2, 3. I mean, I've made wreaths my whole life, you know, since my kids were little, but deco mesh was not heard of back in those days, 25 years ago when my kids were little. So I would have liked to have gone to meet everybody. But
There's one gonna be in Illinois in October.
I heard about that.
That's not far from me.
I would love to be able to just do like a meet and greet with all you guys. I think that would be so much fun. I need to get some more zip ties. Hold on, I bought another pack today.
That one in Illinois is $250.
Is
Yeah. When
Yeah.
I saw that, I
Is
said,
that
"No
the,
way."
the Scott Waterman one?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't. I'm not gonna pay that to go.
I think we should all go to Miami and stay at Mimi's house. And we can make wreaths, and she's gonna make us Cuban food.
Yes, that sounds fun.
Doesn't it though?
Yeah.
Well, I
I've
have
seen your party pictures, Mimi. You look like a lot of fun. I'm gonna come to your house.
well, there are 5 bedrooms, 2 to a bedroom.
See, Cindy, you want to share a bedroom with me?
Sure, I'll share with you.
And how far are you from the beach?
Well, I have a pool.
Oh, there you go. Can you make a good margarita?
That I don't know how to make, but I
Oh no.
make killer black beans and rice and pork.
Oh yes.
Yum.
So anytime.
Now, what is arroz con pollos? Is that Cuban or is that
Oh my God,
yeah.
yes, I make one that to
arroz con pollos? You guys know what that is? Don't say anything, Mimi.
Never heard of it.
Oh my God.
Pollos is chicken.
Yeah,
So arroz con pollos is chicken and rice.
yellow.
Do you know how I know that, Mimi? Do you know how I know what that is? You're gonna die laughing. From I Love Lucy.
Oh,
Because she used to
My
always
dear.
make it for Ricky, the arroz con
Oh.
pollos.
that was the best. The best.
Babalu, remember Babalu? I love that show.
Me too. Me too. All right, let me go off here.
All right, my dear.
Ooh.
You don't have to make your petals the way I'm making my petals, you guys. If you want to fold them in half like Lenora's doing instead, but like I said, I wanted mine to be a little bit bigger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How much time do we have left here? We're not going to be able to finish this tonight, you guys, or I'm not going to be able to in class anyway, because I'm going to cut this off at 10 o'clock. But I think you guys get the hang of what I'm doing here. Does everybody understand the middle part, how I put the second row on, or should I do another section of that? See, I'm not paying attention. I have to do my zip tie in the back here. Does everybody understand that second row? How I kind of put them in between? Does that make sense? Speak now or forever hold your peace.
I did mine different, so
Yeah.
I wish I did mine like yours because I got little knobs in the middle now.
What do you mean?
Because I don't know. When I zip tie it on, I have little knobs because I didn't do it the way you did it.
Uh-huh. Well, that's what you get for being a rebel.
I know. But now you just made me think of something. If I folded it over, oh, I have an idea. I'm going to change it.
You can do it, Lenore. I have faith in you. I'm so glad you made it. What were the other plans that you canceled? What was I more important than? I'm just teasing.
Yeah. Yeah. We were going to run some errands and stuff like that, and I just decided not to go. And my husband and my daughter went.
Oh, there you go. So you got some time alone.
Yep.
So I just kind of like to pull them a little bit, you know, just to get that little curly shape. They're going to curl a little bit more as you get to the middle of the roll. Where am I here? There we go. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one more middle section just to show you guys again how I did that. So if you want to make it look like the image in the picture, just get some ribbon. You can do a little hand-tied bow. You don't even have to put ribbon on if you don't want to. I think this is just pretty enough on its own without a bow. I saw a really neat video the other day about how to make a hand-tied bow. But we're definitely going to be doing a hand-tied bow for the rail class. If you're taking the rail class, if you got your rail from Dora, Saturday, because we have to have a bow to hang at the top. And I'm going to show you how to make a really neat hand-tied bow. No bow maker needed for that. That is so pretty. All right, I'm going to do, which one needs a middle row here? There's one section here, there's one section here, and they don't have. So I have two sections right now that have 2 rows, and I have 2 that don't. And you really can't even tell, honestly, because I just have the rows in the front here, and this has both. So let's just start over here, and I'm going to see if I can, in 10 minutes, do another. You know, this isn't even one whole roll of mesh. I still have 3 pieces left in my roll. So you can see, you know, you probably will only need like a roll and a half of mesh. If you maybe want to go around and take your last bar here and put another set of leaves, go for it. If you want to use up both your rolls, and then it'll be nice and full. You can definitely do that. And then obviously, you know, if you wanted to go ahead and, let me think here for a second here. You actually could probably even do the middle thing again. So go in the middle in between, like we went in the middle here. You can probably, if you wanted to add another row, go in the middle here between the ones that the second row that you did, and still be able to wrap it around the 2 outer bars and do it that way if you wanted to add another row, or just go around the outer bar. I don't think it's really going to do any flopping around because there's so much other stuff, but I don't really even think it needs anymore. Let's go over this part one more time since we have 10 minutes left here. All right, so again, I'm gonna wanna go around to the back. Let me find, this thing is huge. I'm actually gonna stand for a minute here because my butt's getting sore. Excuse my language. Okay. So push that over. I'm gonna go up in between second or the third and the fourth bar. Hold on, let me think for a second here. I forgot how I did it because I'm doing this. All right, now you have to go around to the front here. You're gonna go in between the first and second bar. This is your second row here. There we go. Amazing how. And pull your petal through. This one's gonna be in the back. Did you get that? First row goes, you put your tail in between. Let me think for a second here. Oh, I already forgot how I did it. I mean, I have to do it to remember, let's put it that way. Just go back and watch the video. So we're gonna go up in between the second and the first bar, pull your petal through, make sure it's nice and curled under like that. Curled in. Bring it together, make sure your tail is about 3 inches. And then the zip tie goes in between the third and the fourth ring. And you grab that mesh. So again, like Mimi pointed out, you're not zip tying anything to the wire. You're wrapping your zip tie around your mesh. I probably should have said that earlier. It's not going around any bar at all. It's being wrapped around your mesh to hold that tail to your petal. And I apologize, I should have said that before. And this one's going in between.
I didn't even hear what you said. Why are you apologizing?
You're not paying attention.
I said I was, I didn't hear what you said.
Well, I don't even remember what I apologized for. What did I apologize for?
I don't know. You just apologized. Said, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to say that. I'm like, what are you talking about?
I did?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm losing my mind.
I think I must be too then.
About
I'm
the
really
zip
losing
tie.
my mind. And I can't remember how I did this first one already. Hold on a minute here. I'm trying to tell you how you push the tail up for the second row in between the first and the second ring. Now I gotta do another one on the first one so I remember how to do it. It's one of those things where I have to do it to be able to tell you. I can't just like tell you. I'm tired. It's almost 10 o'clock. I think that's what it is. I'm starting to get loopy. For the bottom one, you still go up in between the first and the second. The second and the third. The second and the third for the bottom one. All right, second and the third, you pull the tail up through for the bottom one. Now, how do we do this one? Hold on. It's late. I'm losing my marbles. Okay, second and third ring for the bottom. The one in the middle. Okay, got it. The one in the middle, you go in between the first and the second one. It doesn't really make much sense, but that's what you do. Okay, pull it around to the back. Yeah, they get really curly when you get to the middle here, closer to the roll, or the middle of the roll. Okay. I think we're going to call it a day in a second here. Let me just get this last piece on here for this section. I'm going to finish it. I may finish it tonight. I may finish it in the morning. I'm not quite sure, but then I will definitely take a picture for y'all. It happens. Sometimes we can't finish stuff in the live class, but I'm not going to rush it just to get it done. All right, I'm going through the wrong one. You got to go through the third and the fourth ring with your zip tie for the second row. And make sure your zip ties face the right way, which mine wasn't. Again, it's probably easier to use longer zip ties. I should have just used the 8-inch. Excuse me. Woo. It's these fibers from the burlap, from the jute. I'm losing my zip tie. Where'd it go? I think it's time to call it a night, you guys. I'm getting loopy. Over here. There it is. Okay. We got it now. Okay. Okay. So one more time. I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to, just to recap, fold your petal. The bottom 2 rings for your first row. Bottom 2 rings for your first row. You're going to go up, lay it face up through the second, the third ring. Come around the bottom with your petal. This is where you're going to put your zip ties. It's going to be wrapped around the 2 bottom rings. Okay, that's your first row. Your second row, you're going to want to start from the back. You're going to go in between the 2 pieces that are on the bottom. Kind of move them over. This is going to go in between the first and second ring. This is the last time I'm saying it. Kind of pull your petal through because you want it to be in the back. Again, it's being wrapped around the 2 wires. The petals on the bottom are going around the 2 bottom wires. The middle petals are going around the 2 middle bars. You're not going to use this last bar unless you feel like it. You can add another row of petals. It's entirely up to you. You're going to have enough mesh because, like I said, what I have on here so far is just about 1 roll. And I only have like two more sections to go. So let me just get this last one on, then we'll call it a night here. His eye's tired. I don't know how some of these wreath makers can do, like Damon does a lot of his lives at, 11 o'clock at night. I'm up at 5:30. So by this time of the night, I'm ready for nighty night. All right, last one for now. 'Cause I'm starting to sneeze. Whew, sorry. I'm sorry. And Cindy, I'm apologizing for sneezing. So now I know why I said I was sorry this time. But you guys, this is going to be so pretty when you're done. And look how nice and neat the back is. Let's get this out of the way. Okay. Is everybody set? Do we have any questions before I sign off? Or I'm going to try to finish this.
Christina.
If I don't finish it tonight, I'm going to finish it in the morning and I'll get a picture. But I think that, it's
Pretty.
It's going to be nice. I'm excited.
Yep.
I can't wait to see yours, Lenore. Good night, everybody. Thanks for joining me.
Good night.
Good night, Miss Mimi. Let's see, I think Connie's saying good night too. Good night, Connie. Have a great night, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.